Hi, another gardening video since I've gotten into that, and some more advice. I've learned this season that when you prune your tomato plants, that they get a lot more. They produce a lot, and I can show you an example right now. I'm going to show you some proof right now. A lot of tomatoes that I've gotten from my tomato plants just recently since I pruned them, and really the weather got cold, which it almost was cold enough to kill the tomato plants, but then it got hot again and it definitely killed them. It got warm again. We've had kind of like an Indian summer up here in the northern Midwest. Some more advice about tomato plants. You want to plant them in an open garden without any shade. Back when I was a kid and now, I'm realizing they need a good root system. The pots that I've got them in don't work as well, and they need mulch, or you'll get blossom end rot. My father used to emphasize that. Put mulch in the garden, put mulch in the garden, put mulch in the garden, because it saves them from the blossom end rot that you get from fruit-bearing things like, when I say fruit-bearing, I mean like, you call them vegetables. They're fruit vegetables in the sense that they bear a something that hangs or something that grows sideways, that kind of thing. It's more than just like the leaves that you eat, like you eat leaves and spinach or herbs. When you get something like tomatoes or zucchini or squash or something like that, as long as it's something that grows out, that's a big mass of something instead of just the leaves. And I think it's not the root. The root vegetables might be concerned too, onions and stuff like that, beets. But you want to mulch them. You want to put them in all the sunlight you can. At least the tomatoes. You don't have to worry about the herbs. So I got zucchini, stuff like that. All the mulch you can. Well, you don't want to smother them. Mulch them. Water the stuff like tomatoes a lot. Prune them back. Prune the hell out of them, if you don't mind me saying so. Just prune them. Cut them at where a minor stem branches off from a major stem. Okay. Well, mulch them, prune them, put them in as brightest sunlight for the tomatoes, as you can. Preferably put them in an open garden with no overhanging trees. So, here's what I've got. All of a sudden when I pruned them, I got this with the tomatoes. See all these tomatoes? There's one. All these beautiful babies here. They're still green because they didn't get enough sun. It wasn't warm enough, probably a combination of the two, to make them red. Got a couple red ones. There are my red tomatoes. Another red tomato, and a few partially red tomatoes, and about twice as many green ones as I have red ones. Twice as much volume. Now, when I pruned back my tomato plant, one of the tomato plants I brought inside and see if it'll do anything. The other tomato plants had too many tomatoes on them. I wanted those tomatoes to ripen. Didn't really work. When I pruned back one of my tomato plants that I had in here, I found out that this parsley had been growing just fine. There's my beautiful parsley. You see that? Beautiful parsley growing right there. Italian parsley has a little bit different flavor. Different kind of animal. They call it the same thing. Or different kind of vegetable. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. It's going to be tasty. What you can do is you can take your tomatoes, your parsley, chop them up, put some basil in it, put some butter, fry it, or kind of saute it in some oil or some butter, so maybe some oil, and it's nice and tasty. Like an Italian type thing. Here's my basil. that I've got. This I thought wasn't going to come up. I planted this basil myself. I didn't buy the plant. That's what I've got. This is, this kind of basil is Genoa kind, or Genovese. Genovese? I think Genovese. Genoa basil. And the thing is, it's strong basil. It's not this weak stuff. You know, lemon basil, it's not lemon basil, not that strong. You get the what do you call that stuff? Lemon basil or the purple basil, all that stuff. You know, if you want some nice hearty Italian flavor or French flavor type food that has basil in it, or any other food that has basil in it, that includes Oriental food, Thai food has basil in it. I think Chinese food may have some basil in it, and they like to use basil. You want to get this, unless it's recommended that you get something else that's maybe for Chinese food or Thai food or whatever. You want to get this kind of basil, not the purple basil. It's not going to give you much strength. It's not going to be that strong. This is earthy, greeny type stuff. If you like stuff that has that flavor that you get from green vegetables. You know, it works well with herbs. You can put your tomato with it and put a different colored, you know, different types of vegetables with it. So you get different flavors. You know, the red stuff tends to be, you know, a different flavor. Like cherries and tomatoes kind of, you know, they have a sweeter kind of flavor than this kind of stuff. You know, it's kind of like bites in you. This is good. That's my video. We're still learning about gardening. And the best thing to do is to have your own, I have an apartment here. The best thing to do is to have your own house or a big plot of garden. And those tomatoes, especially if you prune them, are going to, you know, not in an apartment on a porch like I've got, especially a partially enclosed porch, or it's got walls to it. It's not going to produce very much. You want to get a big wide open garden. Some stuff may be need to be in the shade. You can do that. But, you know, stuff like basil, I think tomatoes definitely. Zucchini. Zucchini is much happier when you got it in, you know, in a garden where it can spread out. You don't want to put them all together. Tomato plants, you don't want to put them too close together either. And my rocket or my arugula, that needs to be spread out a little bit. That doesn't need a lot of sun, so I got my rocket, I got my arugula, whatever you want to call it, in here. I got my herb still in here. I got one tomato plant still in here. I got my oregano still in here, and parsley, basil, and that kind of stuff still in here. I got to plant some more basil. So, from seed, you know, good, neat stuff.